Hello, I'm Donna Motta. On tonight's show, I'm speaking with three guests from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall Committee, a 501c nonprofit organization which plans to build the memorial wall at Bicentennial State Park as a welcome addition to the development of Fall River's waterfront property. This intensive project is an initiative to honor the memory of Vietnam veterans who gave the ultimate sacrifice during that era. Today, I'm here with Committee Chairman Joseph Marshall, along with Dr. Jack Sprague, who is serving as treasurer, and one of the directors, Justin Latini. Our goal is to inform the public about this new initiative to honor the memory of those veterans who fought for freedom and justice.
Honor, courage, sacrifice, pride, our city. Fall River has traditionally been in the forefront of honoring our nation's soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen. Vietnam veterans took the initiative to secure rights to an 80% size replica of the Healing Wall for Veterans Bicentennial Park. The names of over 58,000 fallen heroes will be engraved on the 360-foot long replica wall. 100% of the money raised benefits the building of our Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Fall River. Help build our wall, which is scheduled to open in 2020. The meaning, the spirit, and the value of the wall is everyone's. Be part of this exceptional, once-in-a-lifetime project. To make a donation, please visit vietnammemorialwall.org or connect with us at facebook.com.
Welcome. It's nice to have you all here today.
Thank you.
Now, you have several questions that I have here written down that I'll ask you, and please feel free to answer as you'd like. The first one that our audience would like to know is, how did the idea of a permanent replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall come about?
I'll take that one. We were contacted, a small group of us, were contacted by Ray Haig, the Veterans Service Officer in Fall River, and he had this opportunity on his desk, and he said, we can do this here in Fall River if you guys want to go ahead and run with it. So we looked into it, talked to the mayor's office. The administration was for it. They gave us a letter that says they supported it, and then we just got the people together, and we went from there.
Well, you say you just got the people together.
Well, yeah.
How did you reach out? Who did you reach out to?
Well, some of the people were recommended by the administration, and then others I had worked with before, Justin had worked with before, and Dr. Sprague had worked with before, and we were looking for people that would be doers, would do things, would get things done. So that's how we got together.
Now, how long ago did the planning start?
November of 17. November of 17 was our very first meeting, and we were ready to go, but we had to go through the process of the 501c designation. So we really didn't hit the ground running until maybe March or April of this year.
Which is still relatively fast.
It is.
Because to get a 501c designation is not easy. It's kind of a complicated process from what I understand.
It is, and it's a long process. You just don't get it. But again, you've got to qualify, you've got to state your case, and we were fortunate again because we have good people on our committee. There was a lot of follow-up, and we were able to do that.
Now, why did you decide to actually go for this designation? Like, why a nonprofit instead of just having a committee?
Well, because one of the most important things in getting this off the ground is fundraising. And we even though it's a worthwhile project and it probably sells itself, to be a nonprofit and be able to give the donors an opportunity to tax deduct their contribution, I think is an incentive.
And what is your goal with the fundraising? We'll talk about the fundraising aspects as we move along, because it is important to get the project moving along.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So what's your goal in the short term, let's say, Dr. Sprague?
Well, I view it, I may be alone in this, but I view it as different phases. And so the early goal was to try to get about $300,000 to $400,000 to satisfy obtaining the exclusive rights for Massachusetts and most of Rhode Island. So there was a level that we had to hit almost immediately, and thank goodness we're at that level. But then when you get the panels shipped up from Texas, we don't. What do you do with them? So we have to put them up, and we have to safeguard them, and landscape, and the lighting, and the security. So there are a number of other phases beyond getting just the simple wall up and running. There's 362 feet, I think, long, and 8 feet high. So it's quite a project, and so the costs will move forward. I have some grandiose schemes that will raise that cost years from now. I mean, in the long term, it's going to be a never-ending project in my mind. But we have to get the basic essentials in place, and then so we're up over $1 million, and perhaps even more than that at this point. Which is not to the pie-in-the-sky dreams yet, but to get the thing running and welcoming visitors and having it a beautiful location.
Yes, and the location is at Bicentennial State Park. Would you like to just elaborate on that?
It's a great location. As you know, it's about a half mile up the road from the Battleship Cove. It's on the same site as the Gold Star State Monument. The Korean Monument is also there, and the World War II Iwo Jima Monument is already on site. So it's going to be a great complement to those three other monuments. And as Jack was just saying, the budget we're looking at about 1.2, 1.3, which in phases we will get there. It's purchasing the rights. Second phase will be then the actual building of the wall and the infrastructure needed, and then toward the final phases, we have lighting and security, and there are other factors that will come in for costs that we will look at as we go forward.
Also about the securing the rights that we've all mentioned. That is a huge project for us to get that 501 and get the money raised. But the important thing to emphasize, at least in my mind, is the exclusive rights that we have. And what that means is it's not a Fall River project or a South Coast project. We have the exclusive right to have this wall. It's going to be the only wall allowed or permitted in Massachusetts, and as I said, 50 miles south, which includes most of Rhode Island. So no other wall at this size. It's 80% replica of the Washington Mall, the largest possible available. But that's very important. It's not a Fall River project. This is it's going to be in Fall River, but it's the only one in Massachusetts. So you can imagine the tourism and the destination. As Justin mentioned, we're very close to the Battleship Cove and the Marine Museum, and all of the different restaurants and museums in the neighborhood. So I think it's going to work out very well, and very important because people say, oh, when Boston hears about this, they're going to get one of their own, you know. But it's only the only one that's allowed in the Commonwealth.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing.
If I could add too, we talk about the challenge. We're looking at this, and again, I don't think it's pie in the sky. I think we're progressively looking ahead for what it can be, and we look at that as a destination at Bicentennial Park, where we're looking at places where groups can meet, schools can meet from all over the Commonwealth. We want to get a audio-visual connection down there somehow. There's a lot of things we think, but the biggest challenge, and we're facing challenges every day, is how to get the word out to all of Massachusetts and all of Rhode Island, because we really do want to get everyone aboard on this, or everyone, give them an opportunity to be involved. And again, we know people in the South Coast, so we're taking the easy route, but we keep realizing and keep talking about branching out. And I've got to say, and I'll mention Jack and Justin in this case, they've contacted radio stations, they've gone on sites to radio stations and have done pieces and interviews on different radio stations to get the word out. But I think making the connection into different parts of the state and Rhode Island is going to be the biggest challenge. Raising the money, I mean, if it's a worthy cause, people will give. But the challenge is getting it out there and trying to convince people this isn't and it isn't a Fall River project.
Have you reached out to people in Rhode Island already?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, I've touched base with some of the veterans groups. I'm trying to reach to a lot of the veterans groups throughout the state. I've been out to Springfield and Leominster
That's right.
and Waltham, and recently we're down now. We just have a connection down in the Hyannis area. So
Yes.
there are 1,355 heroes from Massachusetts on that wall, and 211 from Rhode Island, which impacts almost every community in these two states. And so there's a family member or a veteran, or if not a veteran, a family member who's been touched by the Vietnam War. So this is going to encompass all those folks, and we're reaching out to all of them to let them know that this is coming. It's a reality. It's not a traveling wall. This is permanent. Within 2 hours of anywhere in Massachusetts, you'll be able to come visit the wall, and it has been called the healing wall for those who come to the wall who have lost comrades or family members. The depiction of the young man with his daughter with the hand on the wall, the reflection of that name, bringing the past to the future is an important healing for some folks who need that.
As a veteran, what is the feeling, the connotation of this wall for you?
Well, I have many comrades on that wall that I flew with and served with, and so it's a never healing. I'm not crazy about that word, but it helps to ease the pain and pass on to generations, as Justin mentioned. But it's a searing memory, and it's something that I'm glad we will have. I'm glad to go to Washington, but once there, it's very uncomfortable knowing the names on that wall. And but it's wonderful that they're being honored and that we recognize their ultimate sacrifice.
What this has done for me, positive or negative depending, is it brought back to my memory a lot of the things that we experienced 50 years ago, and which I either blocked out or didn't think about. So it's kind of resurfaced, and not in a bad way necessarily, but some of the things that it became real again. It became real again.
Some of the fundraising efforts, what if people want to right now write a check or give a donation, what can they do, Joe?
They can go to the website. It's VietnamMemorialWall.org. That's the website, and or they can mail to Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall Committee, Post Office Box 4210, Fall River 02723.
And no amount is too little or too
no,
much, right?
I'll tell you, I haven't gotten anything less than $5, but we'll accept anything.
Give us a visual or I should say comparison, so people can say, is it the size of a football field, or like how big is it going to be?
It's the
I
size.
can see Justin wants to answer that.
It's it's just shy of the size of a football field. It's 360 feet long.
Right.
It's 8 feet tall. It does have the 58,000 plus names on it. People always ask, are there other names on it besides Massachusetts, Rhode Island? There'll be it's an exact replica, except it's 80% scale of the one in Washington. It's 58,000 plus names on the wall. You'll be able to take a piece of paper and get the engraving off the name. We're looking, as Joe said, we're looking at maybe adding some technology where there'll be a disc where you can come up with your smartphone, hit the disc, and put in the person's name, and it will tell you which wall panel and what line that their name is on. And hopefully in the future we're looking to go further than that, is actually have a photo attached with that, maybe a small bio if we can. At least for the Massachusetts and Rhode Island, we may be able to do that. And as we get more information, we might be able to tie that technology into the wall. But the wall is just shy of the size of a football. It's kind of in the shape of a V, and it's pretty impressive when you see what this wall will look like.
Yeah.
And do you know what materials it'll be made out of? Is it marble, granite?
It's a
Do you know
aluminum iodized aluminum panels. They're black with the silver. The letters are in silver.
Oh, okay.
But you'll still be able to trace the name the way they
They're
do
raised.
in Washington.
They're raised a little bit.
You know, one obvious question we have a hard time answering is how many names are on that wall. And the reason it's difficult is that more information becomes available through the Department of Defense. Well, I think when we started, For example, I think it was 58,282. Then went up to 379, 58,003. Now this morning I heard it was 58,400 something. So it seems such an obvious question, or it should be an obvious answer, and it's not.
No.
As more, and thank goodness it's not, because more people, heroes, are being honored as we get more information about people who were deemed lost or missing in action or whatever the reason. And you know, in my personal opinion, many who returned from Vietnam and later I think should be on that wall, later ran into difficulties, psychological or physical, and to me, they're casualties of that war. May have been years later, may still be happening. So it's very difficult to answer what should be an obvious question.
There's a question here that says, when will it be completed? But my question is, when will the actual work begin?
Good point. When will it begin would be when we have the money to begin. The panels were number one, and I think we've got that covered right now. So we've got the panels, we've got to find somebody to store them, and then we'll see who steps up from there. But I don't know if you had a thought.
We're hoping this spring to break ground.
Yes.
And our projected date when we got together this March, when we finally last hurdle was the park department approving the location. We were projecting November of 2020, and that was our projection date to at least get the park open. Now, there'll be things added on after and things that need to be done, but that was our projection date, would be November of 2020.
Will you be soliciting local help as well with the construction?
We've had people step up already. I mean, I've written their name down so they don't walk away. But, no, it's and you know what? Another difficult challenge is putting a budget together, because we have to assume that we have to bear the whole cost. But then when somebody steps up during the construction phase, well, again, I'm referring to stock architects, but you know, it was a little scary at the beginning. We needed them, but we couldn't afford them. And the way they were, they're just part of the family now. They're part of our committee, and we rely on them for a lot, and they step up each time. So, but we'd like to pay them someday. You know, those type of things we encounter. So we don't know who's going to volunteer. We know there will be some. I've had people who said, we do this, we'll do that. Our local, and again, it's local, but our local schools, Fall River schools, Diamond, they're just waiting to do something. Let us know what you need to do. So we're going to get the volunteers, we just don't know where they're going to be yet.
How will you deal with any potential, and I'll say potential, vandalism to the structure?
Well, we're aware of it, obviously, that's a possibility. We've spoken to the local police department. They've given me ideas on lighting, certain signage. I mean, you can't avoid it. If an individual wants to do something, they're going to do it. But we're going to take every precaution to light it up, make sure it's secure, cameras. We're going to make, you can't stop it, but you can hinder it.
Final note, BCC, we actually held a fundraiser for us here as a car show this past year.
Oh, yes.
They're very
we had
supportive of the car show.
We had some good stuff going on.
Yeah.
Very good.
The VCC Vet Center is they're very much involved, the Joseph A. Marshall Veterans Center.
Yeah.
So BCC is well involved with this.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good. You're more than welcome back.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Honor, courage, sacrifice, pride, our city. Fall River has traditionally been in the forefront of honoring our nation's soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen. Vietnam veterans took the initiative to secure rights to an 80% size replica of the Healing Wall for Veterans Bicentennial Park. The names of over 58,000 fallen heroes will be engraved on the 360-foot long replica wall. 100% of the money raised benefits the building of our Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Fall River. Help build our wall, which is scheduled to open in 2020. The meaning, the spirit, and the value of the wall is everyone's. Be part of this exceptional, once-in-a-lifetime project. To make a donation, please visit VietnamMemorialWall.org or connect with us at Facebook.com.